the helmet top and the kala top or the black top are the two heights located just forward from the Takung post, which were dominated by the Indian Army, Rahul. It was a lightning fast action that was mounted in the darkness because intelligence in this particular area had confirmed that the Chinese were trying to mount some kind of hostile intrusive maneuver to take over those heights and create those facts on the ground. But what we're basically looking at, and once again reminding our viewers that these are not real-time actual pictures, but they're simulated. But this is precisely the locations where the Indian Army has now assumed a dominant posture and has all of the Chinese positions, including their tanks and other elements, within line of sight.
So from helmet top, the Indian Army then went and made an intrusion into the next hill feature, which is the Magar top. So right after the helmet top, they came in, and remember, you're seeing this when there's light. They were doing this in the pitch of darkness when you know that the Chinese also trying to come up. So then they went and took Magar top, and if you're on top of Magar, you can actually look down and see Chinese positions from the top when you're sitting on Magar. So right from Magar, as we go up further, we then come to Gurung, and we took Gurung Hill next, and we started sitting on top of Gurung Hill. And these are significant because you've actually tactically outmaneuvered the Chinese by going and sitting on these features.
From Magar Hill and Gurung Hill, Rahul, you basically have perfect line of sight at the very important Maldo base. The Maldo base of the Chinese is basically right on the banks of the Spanggur, which is a smaller lake just south of the Pangong, which is visible in these pictures as well. These are large infrastructural, encampments and bases of the Chinese on their side of the Chushul sector, which become completely visible.
Right next to the Gurung Hill is the Blacktop, and the Blacktop is actually the most significant feature in this range because this is what gives you the deepest insights into what's happening inside China. So you can see their positions low down in the valley, and more importantly, you can see their crucial road infrastructure as well, as you can see from that shot which you've taken right above Blacktop. That's the feature. And as we then go from Blacktop, we now are coming down into what's called the Spanggur Gap. Now this is crucial because just the word gap essentially means it's an opening, and this is where you can actually bring in your tanks, Shiv.
Yeah,
so it's a very crucial piece of open land in the midst of all these mountains.
That's right. I mean, as you can see in these pictures, amidst the very harsh high altitude terrain, the Spanggur Gap is a perfect, beautiful 1 kilometer wide gap. It's almost a gateway in the Himalayas, perfectly flat land. It is through the Spanggur Gap that the road connecting the Maldo base and the Indian border patrol hut, in fact, border patrol meeting hut, where the brigadiers have been talking, is situated. So the Spanggur Gap is historically significant. It's also practically a portal for tanks, should they need to be actually deployed here.
And if we just turn the camera around and look up now from Spanggur Gap as we're doing, so you actually get to see Blacktop, you actually get to see the Camel Top, and that's the significance. So if you're down in the gap and you're looking up, you're seeing the Indians sit right above you, and if you're a Chinese person, that's not a good feeling to have the Indians right on top. From the Spanggur Gap, we now go to the Maldo border meeting point, and this is what you've been seeing on television every single day when brigade commanders are meeting, or the co-commanders are meeting, or the division commanders are meeting. Very often the meetings have been taking place here. And the interesting thing, Shiv, about this simulation is we've been talking about this BMP for so long, and this is the first visual reference I have for what that BMP actually looks like. It makes you feel as though you've been there.
It's incredible. I mean, that's and you're very right, because there are no aerial pictures of the border patrol meeting hut, and yet it has been so famous right through this season because that's where multiple meetings have taken place. Rahul, the army chief, in fact, who's just returned from Ladakh, also visited this particular area where he met with the brigadier who's been part of these meetings. And let me tell you, the place that he visited is just about 8 or 9 kilometers from from Kala Top and Helmet Top. So the army chief, we're flying over this particular place. We can see it. The army chief arrived there in a helicopter, and he was within line of sight of the actual frontier that the Indian army has acted upon.
Right next to the Maldo border meeting point is this Chinese garrison. Now this is a very significant Chinese garrison because it's well built, so it's not like a outpost or small post. This is one like we had Takung, which was our key post. Now you've got this major Chinese post in Maldo, and you've got the Indians sitting on the entire range on top. You can see the administration facilities, their living quarters as we fly around this Chinese garrison. And if we go a little further and fly past, you actually see a huge small arms firing range as well.
Yeah. You don't need to be a military person to appreciate that the Chinese have their movements highly restricted, and there is pressure on them right now. It's simple trigonometry, arithmetic even, that the higher you are, the more you can see, and there is this misconception that the Indian side is deployed in far greater strength than the Chinese side. That's actually not true, Rahul. The Chinese, like you pointed out, in Maldo and beyond, are deployed in quite a large strength as well. The gun position, the firing range, which is practically on the banks of the Pangong itself, are all completely within sight. And might I also add that many of these positions have emerged as recently as since late June. So while talks were happening, this build-up was actually taking place by the Chinese on the south bank.